Okay, broken record, I know. Off to another trip. This time close by. Remember that video I did on IWJG? That was in New York. I'm doing another one of those, except this show may not be as busy, so I don't know how much show action I can show you. So this video is going to be kind of, you know, whatever comes, I guess. We're a little spread out. Arthur's in Florida. He's flying in at 10:30 at night. I'm gonna go pick up Alex at Golden Gates. Remember that crazy place, right? From all the parties and stuff. He's at a party there till 9:30, so I'm gonna leave my house now. I'm about 30 minutes away from there. Go grab Alex, head out to Brooklyn, go to bed, wake up, and let's see if we can make some money. Downtown Brooklyn. We're back. New York, IWJG. Let's see what kind of action today brings. Go grab a bite to eat, go set up, and try to sell some stuff. One of the things that I did want to tell you is this type of small guild show is a dying breed, unfortunately. And there's quite a few reasons for that. And the number one reason is really technology. It's costly for people to come to shows like this. You get charged a couple $100s at the door. If you want a trader's badge, it's even more money. It's happening now with today's day and age of technology. Everything is moving online. And you would think, well, how do you move a trade show online? It's actually very simple. Dealers are doing business to business now more virtually than ever. There's no need to get into a single room anymore and trade amongst each other. We can do it via WhatsApp, via FaceTime. Unfortunately, this show has been around for 30 years, is dying out. I'm actually gonna have a conversation with the owners of the show of how we can probably revive it a bit more, make it stick around for a while, maybe give them some pointers. It's gonna be tough. Convince them of certain things that I'm going to tell them, but I'm going to try because I care about the show. I want to see it live on. This is the first show that gave me my wholesale start period. I would hate to see it die. Anyway, off to breakfast. I'm going to come over here and talk to my Spanish clients and friends. So show me the latest pickup.
Here you go, brother.
Nah, I'm not interested in Montoya. Show me the other one. So boys and girls, what we have here, we have the original A serial, diamond bezel, diamond dial, royal oak. What number is this one? It's like
700.
It's number 700 of MA. So again, this is from 1972, much like the A series that I've showed you guys before on my channel. This is a pretty sick pickup, and me and him are gonna have some words in regards to how I can make that mine. How's business overall?
It's good.
Yeah.
Doing good.
How's Mexico?
Good also.
Yeah?
When you coming?
I'm afraid I won't come back. It's gonna be so nice.
No, it's good.
Anyway, how much you asking for the Montoya?
65.
Box paper?
Extra.
Oh, they got so cheap. It's ridiculous. I remember selling this watch for over 100. It was good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, bro.
My fellow Philadelphian Alan. All right, all of him. Look at him.
Opa.
Alan, tell me about the Rolex business. This shit gonna continue. This guy predominantly does a lot of Rolex, so I would consider him one of the experts. What do you think? Are we gonna see a drop, or we're not gonna see a drop?
We're gonna see a little drop and a great success.
A little drop and a great success. All in one sentence. Look at that. This kid has a fat-ass store downtown Philadelphia. Again, mainly Rolexes, so whenever I need a Rolex, this is one of the guys I go to. But do you honestly, GMTs, right? Let's talk about Pepsi for a second. Yes. Right now, it's back down to 16, 17. It was a 20. Should it not be back down to about 12, 13,000? You don't see that happen.
Not yet.
Not yet.
14,000, yes.
But what's going to happen next year in Basel? They're going to obviously show like a new sub, I'm thinking. Right? I hate to f***ing do these prediction videos, but they're going to show a new sub. Once they come out with a new line of shit, new subs or something else, don't you think that's going to put the other ones in the shadow a little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit. But the new subs, what? Retail is going to be 9,500 and sell for 20 right out of the gate.
Yes.
And then they come back down to 16 and 17 like it goes. So the key to this conversation is that don't buy new Rolexes the minute that they come out.
Exactly.
Other Rolex guy, come here. So you predominantly specialize in pre-owned stuff, right?
Yes, correct.
Give me 3 safe Rolex models that will not be subject to the crazes of going up and down and this. Something that's going to be nice and steady throughout times.
Any steel subs?
No, but steel subs are also high as shit right now, especially the new ones. You know,
but I don't think they'll ever go down really as much.
But I'm talking about, because there's a lot of guys out there, yeah, they want the GMTs, they want the Batmans, they want all that stuff. And the reason they want it is because is because of the dumbass craze. You know, it's like supply and demand. The more you can't have something, the more you want it. But there's a lot of guys out there that want to spend up to $10,000, up to $6,000, $7,000 on a Rolex, which they don't want to. They're not looking to make money on it. They're not looking at it as an investment. They just want something that they won't get hurt on.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think anything with Rolex nowadays is pretty much safe with the way that things are going.
I mean, I see you have a lot of two-tone J-Chucks.
Yeah, J-Chucks are definitely great.
And again, this is a wholesale show, but roughly on the resale end, what do you figure these two-tones are
Anywhere
at?
from $5,000 to $8,000, depending on the models in the series. 16233s are now very, very safe. I think anything Rolex you touch nowadays, even though the market will fluctuate, long run you're safe.
And this is the kind of stuff that is not really going to break the bank for anybody.
No.
It's not somebody that's they're paying under its original list, obviously.
And it's always money.
And it's always kind of like money in the bank.
You got it.
Mr. Michael from Watchbox, how are you? How are you feeling
great
about
to
this?
see you.
How are you feeling about the show so far?
The show is not bad, considering a definitely lighter turnout because of the holidays. But
why are you being so nice? Barely anybody showed up.
everybody showed up, but the people who showed up are buying. We're selling some stuff.
Okay,
so.
good. Are we going to make that trade on the platinum offshore?
I don't know. I have to talk to Rob.
I think you got to call Rob. I think we should do something.
He's here. We'll talk to him.
Because I'm getting itchy at this point.
I love you when you get itchy.
Good talking to you.
You too.
Oh, so these guys actually buy something, or they're just busting your chops?
Not really.
Not really, right?
Once in a while they'll buy something.
We only come here to have
It's a London thing, I'm telling you.
If you give us half price everything,
Sold. Sold.
Yeah.
I have about
Cabinet
20
by
brands I can
cabinet.
give you at half price.
Cabinet by cabinet.
Normally I would sell it at 80 off, but I can give it to you half price if you want.
That's fine.
They just come here to rest a little
That's
bit.
it.
You know, sit down, have a little bit of nuts.
Some nuts.
Yeah, I got it. So what's going to happen when England officially breaks off? What do you think is going to happen to the market and the currency?
It's going to drop dramatically. You're going to see it go against the euro. It's going to go under.
Yeah, but the euro's shit now too.
If it's a hard Brexit, then pound is.
But that should result in your luxury goods market to go up because now
it's so cheap to buy from the
Exactly.
UK. But then how are you going to replace it?
It's better for you, right?
How are you going to replace
Well, you're going to have to readjust.
Because everything in
But
the
initially your sales, you can sell off and then readjust
and
accordingly.
it's already 20% VAT.
You can't replace it.
Well, how about buying from the public now in London?
No, we always buy from the public though.
Yeah.
Our business is that, no, we got.
Short-term effect
Yeah.
post the official drop, you figure.
Yeah, I think all hell's gonna break loose.
You think?
Yeah.
So you're saying we should go to UK to buy?
I'd say be careful. You're not allowed to have your concealed weapons out there.
Oh shit.
So don't forget that.
Who can say where the road goes?
Boys, talk to me about the vintage market in Europe.
Let's not talk about it. Let's just think about it. Think.
Okay, the euro's down.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If you're buying in dollars, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you're trading in euros, it's exactly the same thing.
Well, obviously,
Nothing
but you
changed.
trade mostly in euro when you're out there, right?
Yeah, of course.
Start with the current hottest thing in the vintage market. I know the tone has softened up a little bit. The prices kind of went through the roof. What's actually still hot in the vintage Rolex market?
Anything sports model vintage with papers.
So we're talking about GMTs, we're talking about
Submariners.
But subs have softened up too. I mean, subs they were a bit hotter six months ago, a year, like the double reds, the single red subs. Now
but 5513s are really strong. 1680s are at the highest level.
Where
I've ever
are they
seen.
trading?
A nice piece with papers would be like in the 14 to 16,000.
And is that true for Europe or for here as well?
For here as well, but I'm seeing more. For me personally, there's more buyers in Europe.
What's going to happen now that the Paul Newmans and all those things have slowed down?
They're going to come back and goes up 3 steps, down 2, up 3 steps, down 2. It's been doing that for 30 years.
It's still a good buy to put away. I feel
Absolutely. Long term, anything mint. Disparity between mint and normal is getting bigger and bigger.
That's crazy. Guys, thank you very much.
Sure.
Arthur.
Mama! Mama! Mommy! Mama!
Oh, tell me a story.
Tell me a story.
You, man. Oh, that's my favorite. How are we feeling about the show, Arthur? Or lack thereof? I'm gonna go talk to management right now. I think I should put it on camera too. Like it'll be like an official complaint on YouTube and everything.
The meeting is 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Why it's got to be so early? Why is the show that busy now that we can't sit down and talk? We can do it at our booth. Sometimes the show gets so exciting that people try to take a nap. Look. Joe, are you there?
I'm there.
I guess you really trust the people around here because everything is wide open. What the f you doing?
What the
Are you meditating out there?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you?
No, but all your watches are out. People are picking them up, taking them away.
No. I got you watching my back, man.
Uh-huh.
My brother.
Okay, nice rest, my friend.
Thank you so much. Such a pain in the ass.
I'm such a pain in the ass. Instead of doing business, you're laying down on the floor under your showcase. Are you buying something? What am I buying? Tell me. Show me something that I want to buy. Can we go 2200 on this Jaeger? What's the best? No. You already told me 3. Okay, day 1 is over. And let me just go back to what I was telling you guys earlier when I was going to the show, and the fact that the show is kind of dying out. And again, the biggest culprit of the show is really the times. Much like a lot of the retail business dies out, things change. Bottom line is this: the way the show is set up, it's a guild show. In order to become a member, you have to be recommended by 2 members. It is not a cheap show. In order to get into the show, you have to pay $250 entry fee. But a lot of the vendors, the ones that display there, like myself, we're finding ourselves in a situation where there's just not enough bodies that go through the doors, and we end up trading among ourselves. Yes, every show something happens. Today was a slow show. I managed to do a bunch of interviews with people, walk around a little bit, and do a little more taping than usual. But nevertheless, by the end of the show, we either buy ourselves out, like I showed you guys in the Hong Kong video, or we're able to sell stuff, and mostly lately, at least, it's been to each other, meaning vendors that are sitting displaying behind the booth rather than the walk-in clients. Yes, there's some walk-in client business, clients that I've sold to for years, but what we're looking for at every single show, it doesn't matter if it's this show or the Hong Kong shows, we're looking for some new blood, we're looking for new clients, we're looking to pick up that new client that's going to call us between shows, looking for stuff, wanting to order stuff, and so on and so forth. And that's just not happening. And the reason it's not happening is because people nowadays don't want to pay $250 to get into the show. They don't need to. They can send me a WhatsApp, they can send me an email, they can go on my wholesale website. They can do so many numerous things. They get my lists on a weekly basis from my salespeople. So that business, it is no longer necessary to, fly all over the world or all over the United States of America to do these trade shows. Had the show been in Las Vegas, we wouldn't have went. You have to consider the fact of what it costs us to ship our merchandise via armored service, what it costs us to display, what it costs us for hotel rooms, dinners, and so on and so forth. It gets expensive. Yeah, this is in Hong Kong. The show doesn't cost us $100,000 to do, but all in all, by the time all is said and done, it's going to cost about $25,000. When you stop doing business, or at least stop doing new business, and only doing business with those that you can do business outside of these shows, this is when things start to get a little hairy. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., we scheduled a meeting with the owner of the show, the organizers of the show. It's us and a few other key bigger vendors of the show. Some of the guys have been doing the show for 20 years and more. We're going to sit down, we're going to have a talk. I'm going to put it in front of them to say, guys, you got to revamp your entire business model. I know it's worked for you for 25 plus years, but things got to change, and mainly due to the times. Times are different. You got to do something else in order to keep the show alive, otherwise it's literally going to die. And the way I feel that problem gets solved is that you get rid of the entry fee, which is a hefty fee for $250. Plus, if you want to trade watches, let's say you don't want a booth and you just go in and trade watches, you're bringing a bag of watches, you got to pay $350 to get in. I'm not looking for a guy that wants to walk into a room and spend $500,000. I'm looking for a guy that wants to walk into a room and do maybe $10,000, $15,000 worth of sales, make a couple of grand, have a good day, and leave. Well, when you figure in a $350 charge into that mix, that guy's not going to show up. That means that's $15,000 to $20,000 worth of business that's missing from the room. And that's what we're missing. These shows used to have a line on Monday morning that stayed a steady line up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon for people just to get into the room. I used to not leave my feet for a second. There were people surrounding my booth, and I have a pretty big booth, and still there were people all day surrounding me, buying, selling, trading, etc. So I want that again. And in order to get that again, you got to bring in new fresh blood. Look, there's 1 million stores in New York that you can market to, that you can send out an invitation, say, hey, come in, check us out for free. We have 200 vendors displaying. We have $1 billion worth of merchandise in the room. Come in, check it out. Let's get this done one way or the other, because the way things are going right now, it's going to die. Something's got to be done. It would be a shame for this organization to die. This is the one that started it all here in the United States almost 30 years ago by Burley Bullock, who is no longer with us. If he saw what was going on today, he'd probably be pretty damn upset. So, but that's the thing. We're one big happy family here. You know, we all know each other, so we're able to sit down, have this time of a meeting. We'll see what tomorrow will bring. In the interim, today was a good day. You know, sold a few things, bought a couple of things. Nothing crazy. We sold more jewelry than watches, which is great. Just goes to show it's good to be diversified. So, you know, when watches aren't selling, at least jewelry's selling, or vice versa, sometimes both, hopefully. Other than that, I'm gonna go out and grab some kick-ass sushi. How are you enjoying Brooklyn thus far?
We are speechless.
Meaning you're lacking speech.
Meaning I have no words.
You're lacking speech. How do you say that in Russian? In one word. There's no one word to say that. That's 2 words. How did you feel about key sushi tonight?
It's excellent, as usual.
It was on key.
It was
I
on
must
point.
say.
On point.
It was on point and on key.
Yes, it is.
I mean, the sake helped.
Yeah, of course.
I must say.
It never hurts.
Never hurts. You know what you have to do though in life? You have to realize one thing. You have to live, work, and create.
Yes.
I would change create to procreate.
Maybe not. Maybe.
Looks like he's getting ready to be another exciting one here today. I see the crowds are gathering.
Please try. I'm trying to contain my excitement. Early bird catches a worm.
I don't see any,
More often than not.
I don't see any worms.
Well.
There's one right there. The guy that slept under the case. I got the king here with me. Show me the king of all the bust downs, please. Please show me. I'm here with Cameron of Craft and Taylor from Los Angeles. Quick story, met this guy by accident in Bob Marin's office. And what I liked about him, well, I like this whole swag. He tries a vintage Porsche, vintage clothing, and vintage watches, of course, but different. What everybody and their mother wants to do today is they want to sell the same old vintage stuff. The Subs, the Daytonas, and not to say that Cameron doesn't have that, he still does, but what I've loved about him is he finds these different, completely out of left field vintage pieces that I have heard of, but I have never personally seen. He's got me on the radar. Every time he gets something cool, I get a text. Also, his Instagram. Look at Instagram accounts of people that post watches. Oh, here's a wrist shot. Oh, here's a $500,000 watch. Oh, here's a nice vintage watch. He does these historical posts, right? Historical figures, whether it's from the racing world, movie world, doesn't matter what it is, and relate it to a watch and actually tell a story. He himself takes the time to sit down and write all this stuff out, and I actually find myself reading his Instagram posts. I don't know.
Why, thanks.
I actually do. Because Instagram is this, right? You're sitting there, you're scrolling. A piece of ass catches your attention because skin and luxury sell. But for the most part, nobody ever reads Instagram posts. I actually read what he writes because he does a great job at it.
Yeah, for sure. One thing too, I think that's interesting about vintage, and at least for me, is I love the pop culture and I love kind of just the romance behind these things. And I think there's a lot of people that might not be watch people, but might be people that are into fashion or culture or society or things like that. And I think that that's one of the ways that I connected with watches is through other people. So we actually have a lot of people that engage with our Instagram that aren't really watch people, that are engaging in these posts and things like that because of the historical references. I appreciate that because I like posting this stuff, getting other people involved and inspired in my passion, which is vintage watches. But yeah, no, it's fun and it's really cool.
Me personally, like for me, if I'm talking about a particular watch when I do my videos, and so I love the history behind it and
100%.
everything that you put out there, whether it's on your website, and I'll link all the stuff below, you guys can check it out. Whether it's on your Instagram, it represents history. As you said, it represents culture. Whether it's pop culture, it doesn't really make a difference, but it represents history at the end of the day. And to me, as a watch, let's say collector or watch lover rather than a dealer, that sings to me. And every time you post something, even though I'm a dealer, and I immediately want to buy it just because of the history behind it, because of what you visualize alongside with a wristwatch that you put on wrist. I'm not wearing a watch. I should put on a watch.
I got a couple.
So show me something really, really cool that I won't find in other vintage dealer showcases.
So this is a watch that I've been kind of excited about. So this is a Movado Subsea chronograph, and it's incredible. But you know, a watch like this I think is really interesting because there's a lot of kind of interesting historical references within a watch like this that you don't see a lot. Movado was working with Zenith, so this actually has a manually wound Zenith chronograph movement in it, and just the color and kind of what's happening in this watch I think is incredible and insane. Yeah, of course. The thing that's also kind of cool about it is it's a super compressor, so the outer bezel on the inside rotates, but it's a chronograph. So a watch like this would have been made for diving, but you know, the colors and just kind of the partnership between Movado and Zenith, and having kind of like almost like this Panerai style case, but with this inner rotating bezel paired with a chronograph with a lollipop sweep seconds hand, is just kind of an insane mashup. So
that's really one of the things about vintage watches, and I've always tried to explain this to clients that try to buy this stuff, is that a watch sort of has to sing to you. You can take 5 of the same vintage pieces, only one of them will sing to you, whether it's due to a certain patina, whether it's due to a certain condition of the watch. As I look at this watch, it actually sings to me, and as you tell the story behind it, it starts to sing even more. And it's a very unusual Movado. I actually did a video on the history of Movado, and this is a very unusual Movado. I've never seen a Movado like this. So
yeah, this is the first one that we've had. I've seen a couple of these in like auction catalogs and on the internet, but this is the first one that we've acquired.
So my viewers, they like to hear prices. Retail
on the retail end, what is it straight for?
This is actually a pretty expensive Movado due to the rarity. I think this one is sitting in like the $14,000 range.
And there you have it. If you guys walk by this anywhere without hearing the story, without having that kind of knowledge, you would never think that this is a $13,000. And neither did I before I sat down here. And you know what? As you said that, it made it even more appealing to me, which is the crazy part. By the way, this bracelet is got...
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. It's
ladder
like,
bracelet.
It's like hollow on the inside. It's literally like missing center link.
Yeah.
Also it looks.
The nickname is like ladder style bracelet. Gay Fairs made that bracelet, so GF made a lot of bracelets for like On Mars Be Gay and a bunch of other, you know, brands and stuff like that.
You mind if I pick one?
Yeah, go for it.
So I do know a few things because I read a lot and I'm into vintage watches. Breitling is the one thing I have probably the least amount of knowledge for. So what are we looking at here?
So this is a Breitling Navitor 806. This has a Venus caliber movement in it, so it's early. It's very well preserved. You've got AOPA on the dial, so in early marketing and early collaboration, Breitling actually marketed the Navitimer with the AOPA. The other thing too is Navitimer comes from navigation and timer, so it's a mashup of the two words, which I think is kind of a cool little story behind these watches. But Aviator's watch, even though this watch is very early in terms of its production, it's big, right? So it's kind of an oversized watch. It's a pilot's watch. I think these watches are really cool and they're very much relevant and, you know, cool even today. You know, even though this is from the 50s, I think, you know, if you put this on,
one of my favorite watches from the 50s is I have the original Brigade Type 20 without the Brigade rating on it. That's probably one of my most favorite. The 50 Fathom I love from Blancpain from their era.
Yeah.
I think that rugged vintage military look is a whole different genre of vintage watches. One that sings to me being ex-military, I guess.
Yeah.
But for the most part, vintage military together it's a great theme, I feel like, and I feel like they're always great sellers.
I like a lot of vintage military watches. I mean, we actually have a few. Like this Tudor here is a really interesting Tudor. Houdinki actually did a write-up on this exact watch here, but this is what they call the Tudor Hybrid Snowflake. So what's interesting about this watch is, let me see, I actually have, if you want to grab me that guy.
Sure.
I can kind of show you the differences and what makes this special. But if you look, the marker configuration on a normal Snowflake is like this, where you have that kind of block marker. And this one has more of a...
That's kind of why it got its nickname Snowflake, because of those markers, right?
Yeah, because of the markers and the handset. So it kind of is like reminiscent of a snowflake. But this watch here to the right is a very special watch because it was issued to the Royal Canadian Navy. So the French Marine Nationale contacted Tudor and wanted a different dial and a different handset on their dive watches for military issue that were more legible underwater. So the Snowflake kind of came as a result of that requirement.
So let's talk about prices and the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So for your Snowflake, what is that trading at today?
The regular Snowflake, these are sitting in anywhere between, let's say, 10 and 14,000, depending on condition. This being that it's a hybrid Snowflake, meaning that it has the more traditional style markers and the rare handset, this is trading for 25,000. So
this is the kind of stuff that you get, you know, hanging out in the vintage world. Tiny little differences, subtle little differences that make a watch that much more rare. And knowledge is king, as they say. And this is why I'm glad I have a bunch of friends, Cameron included, in the vintage business, because I can always reach out and I can always ask and I can always say, oh, wait a minute. Because if I came across both of these, I know what the market price is on a Snowflake. I recently sold one that was a little bit late. I sold one on the bracelet with a blue dial. I sold it for like $11,000.
Yep.
And guess what? If it had the other markers on it, I wouldn't even know.
Right.
You know? And I wouldn't have known that I may have left $15,000 to $20,000 on the table by strictly looking. And the funny thing about these is that from afar, the other one looks like a legit sub because of the marker.
Totally.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, you almost wouldn't even know, and that's the thing that I love about vintage, and same thing with like cars and that kind of stuff too. Is like you really have to be. You have to be an enthusiast to really understand it, and you can't. It's like you said, devil's in the details, right? Like for example, if we look at that Paddock right here. This is a really cool Paddock. So this is a Paddock Ellipse. The cool thing about this is it's actually in steel. So it's a steel
normally
Paddock.
they're gold.
Normally gold.
How about I've never seen a steel ellipse ever?
This is I think this is the only steel ellipse actually that Paddock ever made. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a cosine dial Paddock for Bayer, which makes this watch pretty incredible.
You know those crazy Tiffany Paddocks that people are paying crazy prices for? And like going back to what our friend Bob said, you know, right now they're doing these manufactured collectibles, these new watches. These are the real collectibles. The ones with the story behind it, the one with the history behind it, the one with time behind them, really, is what it all comes down to. I feel like, although I mostly sell modern pieces, yes, I have a fair share of vintage watches, and when I talk about something singing to you, it's really the history, the story behind these timepieces that sing to someone like myself, but can certainly sing to someone who is a watch enthusiast, more so than that of modern timepieces. Cameron, this has been a blast. I'm going to be in LA actually early November.
Okay.
I'll give you a shout.
Yeah, please do come by our showroom and hang.
I want to stop by your showroom because I know your showroom is just as cool as the watches that you sell.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great seeing you.
So I'm here with Giorgia Mondani. Of been around since how long? A family business?
Well, my father started like 40 years ago, and here we are, still here.
Well, let's talk about her father for a minute. He's probably the biggest and most important collector, encyclopedia, professor of Rolexes worldwide. There's nobody out there that I know who is a bigger walking encyclopedia when it comes to Rolex. And what they decided to do is to take all that knowledge and put it into their books. I'm sure you guys are familiar with all the Rolex books, Panerai books, Paddock books. This is the first and foremost authority on anything Rolex. Whenever I have a question, I send Giorgia a WhatsApp, who is also a walking encyclopedia of all things Rolex, but she also speaks about 9 languages at the same time. Her father not so much. His English is not that great. To make a long story short, I have every single one of these books. You can find them on their website, and I'll link everything below. I sell their books as well on my website. I refer to their books from time to time, well, pretty much every time. You can find a lot of information online. There's so much information online that a lot of the times that, what's in Italian? The fugazi information. Fake.
Fake.
Yes. When you go to a book, this is results of 40 years of knowledge, 40 years of collecting, and really, really in-depth research. Oftentimes, I know that some of the people from Rolex actually call these guys to get information on something that they don't know about. It's very, very true. I know it sounds odd, but it is true. So why am I doing this interview? I want to introduce the latest book, right? This is the Daytona book?
Yeah, correct.
All right, so the Daytona book.
It's an exclusive preview. It just came out. Focused on the self-winding Rolex Daytona. It's a very specific and detailed work about these models, from the 16520 until today to the Cerachrome, Oysterflex, Everose. It's very complete work, such a deep study. I really suggest you to have a look online, mondanibooks.com, but soon on Roman's website as well. Self-winding Rolex Daytona, and for anything you need, feel free to ask me. Follow me on Instagram, Giorgia Mondani, and I will be happy to reply all your questions.
And one other thing I must tell you is the fact that Giorgia, her father's a little bit old school, and Giorgia's obviously new school. Giorgia has created a powerhouse of online influencing, I should call it. Starting from her Rolex Passion Facebook page that has, what, over 600,000 followers?
2 million between Instagram and Facebook.
Exactly. So Giorgia has become a major, major influencer. Anytime she posts something of mine, I get a following right away. And we've been friends for quite a while now. In fact, the way we met was you were at some trade show, you needed a space to display, and I said, here, Giorgia, just put your stuff here because I love her books, I love her as a person, I love her husband just the same, and the newest addition, her little daughter, who's the cutest thing ever, who's in the room right now taking a nap. They don't do well with jet lag, you know? But this is a plug for my friend Giorgia because she does make some wonderful, wonderful books, and I wouldn't plug them unless I love them, unless I read them, and unless I refer to them from time to time. Again, you can find a ton of information online. And a lot of that stuff, people don't even know what the hell they're talking about. These books, they're printed. Before they're printed, all the research is done. Somebody who's out there hunting for vintage and modern, this is definitely what you should refer to. And
I think I should hire you, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
You're a perfect seller.
Well, hold on a second. I also had the honor of writing a preface in one of the books. Giorgia invited me to write.
And it's sold out, by the way, that book.
That wasn't because of me, it was because of your book. But I did manage to write a preface for one of those books, and I was extremely honored to do so. Nevertheless, it's always good to see my friend. It's always good to plug my friend and their product. Check out the Mondani books. It's the best you'll ever find when it comes to printed material and information on anything Rolex. And not just Rolex. We have Panerai books. We have Paddock books.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely check them out. Giorgia, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Roman.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's all she wrote for the New York show. It was a bit slow. I think we got the message across to the owners in regards to changing some things up, so hopefully it will change for the positive. Guys back there picking up our stuff. Should have it back in the office tomorrow and back to the grind.